days to have received the money for us to be able to handle all the cash components. So if you go back, it's 4 days before the first, right? Excluding weekends, of course, and public holidays, because banks are closed during those days. And then you're going to start working backwards in terms of when must SASSA transfer, that takes 2 days. When must Treasury transfer to SASSA, that takes a further 2 days. So you can work it backwards. As long as we have the money, at least 4 days before the first, 4 working days, then we would be able to pay on the first.
And what will push it to the second and the third?
It will push it to the second and the third if SASSA cannot transfer the money to us, which means that SASSA may not have received the money from Treasury, right? And if they don't get it from Treasury, they can't send it to NetBank. If NetBank doesn't get it, NetBank can't send it to Greenrod, which means that, and it takes 2 days every time for banks to do money transfers, as you know. So SASSA has got an account with, in fact, ABSA. So ABSA will transfer to NetBank. NetBank will transfer to Greenrod Bank. That's already 4 days gone. We can't control those 4 days. If those days fall apart and become 5 or 6 days because there's a delay somewhere else, it's going to delay the 4 days that we have at the end of the period, which means that we won't then have enough time to pay on the first.
Just a final question, Mr. Serge, before I let you go. The argument that was in court around the amount, the new contract that has been, well, not signed, the drafted contract between yourselves and SASSA, the council indicated that it's a lump sum instead of doing calculation of per beneficiary. It is a lump sum. Why have you decided to go that route and not give an exact amount that this is how much we want to charge per beneficiary? And is there any discrepancy compared to this amount and the previous amount?
There's a very simple reason for this. By doing it this way, we are ensuring that SASSA over the next 2 years will have the time and the flexibility to take over beneficiaries. Now, if they take over 1 million beneficiaries, I would be losing 1 million times whatever my fee is. Therefore, my profitability drops to the extent that by the time I've lost 20% of the beneficiary base, I'm not making a profit anymore. Right, which means my infrastructure would still be utilized for absolutely no purpose whatsoever. Because remember that the whole contract was negotiated for 5 years, and it was negotiated on the pretense that we would be paying around 10 million people. Right? So we can't suddenly say, but now we've got the same infrastructure, but we can only pay 5. So we said to make it flexible, let's make it a fixed fee per month, and SASSA can decide how many beneficiaries do they want to take and when do they want to take them. We believe that cost...
So that will be in the block basis?
100%. And that cost is what we call the cost of transition and the cost of phase in and phase out. Someone has to pay for the privilege of actually coming in and replacing us. There has to be a cost. We can't simply say there's one beneficiary left and we've got the entire national infrastructure because we don't know where that beneficiary is going to be paid. It could go anywhere. So we're keeping all that running, but we're getting 16 Rand 44. It just can't work that way.
That was CPS's director, Serge Belamant, speaking to our reporter, Aldrin Sampear, on the details of its contract with SASSA. You heard it from Kusatu. It's a gun to our heads. Let's go over to Kendall with your sports news.